The story begins 100 years after a new democratic nation is established in the continent of Patria. The discovery of somnium, the new energy source, causes conflict between the northern and southern states. The war commences with lots of northern soldiers dying, as it seems they are greatly outnumbered by the southern army. With the fear of losing, the northern soldiers resort to forbidden technology, using special soldiers who transformed into ravaging beasts with abnormal strength and powers. These special soldiers are called Incarnates. After the battle, the major in charge praises captain of the special soldiers for their victory on the battlefield, yet voices his opinion about how the Incarnates can't be trusted and should be considered as weapons only. Dr. Elaine, the creator of the Incarnates, expresses her worries about her creation to Hank and Cain. While the group of special soldiers gather around to celebrate their victory, they pressure Hank to confess his feelings to Dr. Elaine. With the help of the Incarnates, the northern state continued to dominate the southern state. One day after the battle, one of the Incarnates, Abby, loses control and attacks his comrades. He ends up sacrificing himself to wear off the effect. This strange turn of events makes the Incarnates wonder if their fate will be like Abby. Captain Hank makes the Incarnates take an oath to slay themselves in case anyone goes berserk again. After numerous battles, Incarnates are dropped dead one after the other by their teammates as they progressively lose control. A new hope arises as an end to the war reaches. Elaine meets up secretly with Hank and tells him the truth about the Incarnates mechanism, why the Incarnates go berserk, and how she tried to prevent it. After shooting Hank, Elaine reveals her plan to annihilate the Incarnates, but unknowingly gets shot by Cain. Hank wakes up in the military hospital 2 months later and is told that the Incarnate squad got disbanded while Dr. Elaine and Cain went missing. Another side of the story, we're shown Skull, a girl who lives in an orphanage with her father and 5 kids, having barely enough to eat as the war takes a toll on the village. One day after hunting for food, father receives guests recognized as soldiers of Patria, who request his immediate assistance at war front, so he bids everyone farewell and leaves. When father returns home, he comes back as one of the Incarnates. Despite this, he spends quality time with the children. Soon, father begins to experience loss of control, and this scares the villagers to pressure Skull to give up on the children. Skull is left alone with her father when one night a man in white cloak appears and murders him. Skull hunts down the man responsible for her father's death, and it is revealed that the man under the cloak is Hank. Skull tries to defend another Incarnate called Danny. Unknown to her, he already lost his mind. Hank single-handedly takes the Incarnate out while Skull decides to go with Hank to learn the truth about her father's death. On their way, they meet a man riding a carriage that drops them off at Rogue Hill, a town harboring a dangerous beast. Lieutenant Lisa meets up with the duo and fills them on info about the beast. Skull wonders if there could be humanity in the Incarnates till she openly witnessed the damages caused by Minotaur, the Incarnate in the town. While Skull accompanies Hank to invade the Minotaur's fortress, filled with booby traps, he locks Skull outside and goes on his own. After Skull's persistence to know the truth, Lisa lets her in. Hank finally faces the Minotaur, a beast who built the fortress with the misconception that enemies who had been eradicated long time ago were all over. In the midst of the fierce battle, Hank unleashes his beast form, a werewolf, and kills Minotaur. On their next trip, Skull is excited about traveling by train for the first time, while Hank sits lonely in a corner. Their trip is interrupted by Lisa, who informs them about Behemoth, the largest Incarnate heading to destroy the bridge uniting the southern and northern states. Skull stays behind while Hank leads the soldiers forefront to stop Behemoth. Hank's plan pulls through and Behemoth is captured. Lisa tells Skull that Behemoth might have some bit of humanity, and this prompts Skull to reason with the beast. While the railway president urges Lisa to kill Behemoth, Skull believes they can make Behemoth retreat and save him. That night, the railway president sends thugs to attack Behemoth secretly, and this makes him rampage for the bridge again. Skull reasons with Behemoth one last time, and in the end, Behemoth dies after getting a glimpse of the ocean, his long wish. The next trip begins with Lisa taking Hank and Skull to a coal mining city, where Cain was believed to be spotted. While Skull fixes Hank's coat, he gets a flashback of Elaine, and he has a warm conversation with her. A woman is murdered the previous night, and her body is left at the town square. A young boy who witnessed the scene points out the Incarnates hide out and run off. When Skull goes after him, he finds out the Incarnate also killed the boy's mother. They get attacked by the gargoyle, and Hank rushes in time to save them. Cain visits the gargoyle and offers him a tip, a bullet that could either kill or rid Incarnate powers. The gargoyle and werewolf beast clash head-to-head in a fierce battle, although Hank gets shot and his werewolf abilities wear off. He successfully kills the gargoyle. Hank finally meets Cain again, and Skull is taken captive by Cain as a bait for Hank. Hank goes missing but promises to return Skull safely. While the cadaver of the Gargoyles massacre are inspected, 2 bodies show proof of Cain's manipulation, and the captain in charge vows to destroy Cain. Hank walks into a ballroom with lots of nobles, and soon after, Cain comes on stage and gives a virtuous speech. He then releases Incarnates into the ballroom that tear each noble limb to limb. Cain believes Incarnates were exploited by humans and deserve to live despite losing their humanity. The difference in view causes conflict between Cain and Hank. Hank is outnumbered by Incarnates when military personnel arrive at the scene. Amidst the battle, it is revealed that the young captain is in fact Cain's older brother. 2 massive blows are thrown at Cain, and instead of dying, he revives back to life. Cain shoots Skull, and Hank ravages into his true form, the King of Beasts. 6 months after the destruction at the White Church, Cain begins a movement out of Patria, made of Incarnates and nobles who were unsatisfied with the war's outcome. Meanwhile, the Northern Union of Patria eliminates Incarnates to prevent strengthening of Cain's army. Skull survived the shot due to a cloth sewn from a special Incarnate thread. After visiting her father's gravesite, she bumps into Lisa, who now follows a squad that eliminates Incarnates. Skull hangs out with the new squad when her father's corpse attacks. The squad subdues the Incarnate corpse, but he was too strong and flies towards the town. Skull painfully gives the final shot and ends her father's corpse. On another journey, Skull meets Therese, an Incarnate siren, in a cave by the beach. Therese narrates her story about her outcast life and the war ended. Due to the current crisis, she was wanted by the government, but Charles took her in. Skull visits Therese daily, and they progressively become friends. One day, Charles is confronted by people of the town and barely escapes to warn Therese before he dies. Therese uses her ability to put the town people and military squad to sleep while she is confronted by Skull. She gets shot and vacates the town. She gets to sing her song one last time before dying. Far away, Hank ravels the winter cold alone in fulfillment of his oath when his former colleague and Incarnate Garm blocks him and gives him an ultimatum to either join Cain or die. The battle is short-lived as day rise begins. Skull heads with the military squad to the mountains in search of Hank when the Major Claude collapses with a fever. While Skull treats him, info about Hank reaches them. Later that night, the Incarnate Garm and Incarnate Werewolf go head-to-head in a heated battle, ending in Hank's body falling off the cliff. The military squad hunts the Garm down. When he sees he is outnumbered, he retreats. Skull rescues Hank and hides in a cave with him. Hank is thankful she survived the gunshot, yet bothered about his humanity being zapped out as he continuously used his powers. While the Garm and Werewolf go head-to-head again, Skull makes an oath to kill Hank before he loses control. This gives him some relief and he finally puts an end to the Garm. Back at the barracks, Major Claude interrogates Hank about Cain, but gets nothing from him. Soldiers sent out to scout are killed per Cain's orders. The president orders a joint capture of his fortress. When Colonel Martin gives info about the situation on the battlefield, Hank recognizes their target as the Incarnate, Centaurus. A night raid is put into succession when the Centaurus launches a sneak attack on the soldiers. He retreats after showing an evident mark of his grown strength, and it seems all things are playing out according to how Cain wants. The day to ambush Cain's fortress arrives, and both launch at each other. As Centaurus brutally ambushes military soldiers, it becomes clearer his humanity was gone. While the werewolf and Centaurus duel fiercely on the battlefield, it is revealed that the military also possess a secret weapon, a poisonous mist made from the snake Incarnate. The mist causes multiple casualties, but deals great damage to the Centaurus. Cain shows terrifying power at the hideout of the military, murdering numerous soldiers in a single strike. Claude attempts to beat Cain, but he is overpowered for him. Cain preaches his madness with the hope he'd make Hank see his righteousness, and when that proved futile, they engage in a fierce battle that ends with Hank falling to the ground. Hank goes berserk and unleashes the power of the beast when Cain attempts to ambush Skull. The battle ends with Cain retreating and northern soldiers take control of the fortress. At the end of the episode, Hank and Skull continue traveling together, and they also recall how much they both changed since they first met. That brings an end to today's recap. Share your thoughts in the comments section down below, and also let me know what you think of this recap. Also, feel free to suggest any other anime that you would like us to cover in a similar format. I'll go through your suggestions and even mention you when I get to the anime you suggest. A sincere like and subscribe can go a long way for your karma. Just saying. Very well then, with that said, I'll see you guys in my next video.